Hi, kids of Windermere. This is Dan Peña, more commonly referred to as the $1 Trillion Man. I'm happy to answer your questions. I'm happy about your request. You probably already know that I get a lot of requests on not a daily basis, but certainly a weekly or monthly basis, and I don't accept too many of them. I accepted this one, and I'm happy to answer your questions, but just a couple of seconds to reflect upon the Corona era. I'm not sure if you're back at school and yet, but if you are, you're no doubtedly undergoing the social distancing requirements, and that's great. I can't emphasize enough to you, young men and women, that social distancing is really important. Now that the president has gotten Corona, and is back at the White House, we all wish him well. And just think about it. Every single person that was introduced to the president in the last few months is double-checked, triple-checked. And if he can still get Corona, then any of us can. I'm fortunate that the environment here at Guthrie Castle is almost perfect for us to continue our seminars. And we will, in fact, starting this evening, the seminar begins. But adhere to, stay safe, and I know it's hard to stay distanced from your buddies and your mates or whatever you call each other these days, but you got to do it. I predicted back in mid-March that Corona was going to have a second and possibly third and fourth wave. Well, it appears that we're in the depths of a second wave, and people are dying, and I know the most vulnerable people aren't you, and probably not even your parents, but your grandparents. So for your grandparents, and I'm old enough to be easily your grandfather, I ask you to please use social distancing, pay attention, even though some of the things sound like they're, some idiot came up with the rules, but just adhere to them. Okay, success stories, milestones in business. I didn't have any milestones. When I was your age, I had no idea. I didn't even know what being an entrepreneur was, and I probably couldn't spell it back in those days. But I was a shitty high school student, and I went to a public school, although I got a pretty good education. But my milestones were I had not done anything as a high-performance person ever in my life until I graduated from Officers Candidate School at Fort Benning, Georgia, in the Army in June of 1967. I was commissioned a second lieutenant, and by the act of Congress, I was deemed an officer and a gentleman, and I took it seriously. It was the only thing I had ever accomplished against the grain, and I volunteered for the draft in 1966 at the height of the Vietnam War. Because my dad had served in two wars, the Korean War and the Second World War, so he was my model. Most of the kids watching this at your school or at any school don't have proper role models. Your parents, unfortunately, rarely have been trained in raising high-performance kids. The other milestones came rather naturally. I've always considered myself a gifted speaker, even though I got a D in public speaking in high school, which I find quite amusing. And I've been able to use as they used to say when I was a kid, the gift to gab to my benefit. But I recommend all of you take some sort of speech classes, improv classes that teach you better how to present yourself. Toastmasters is great. They have Toastmasters for kids. And all those will allow you to build a more solid foundation to be a high-performance person. The success stories I have are many. I mean, many of them are on the online, and many of them are on my website. And so the YouTube, and one of the reasons I do so many YouTube type events, and I publish so many, although I'm not fond of these kind when I'm not in front of an audience, is because my legacy. I'm 75 now. I just had my 75th birthday. I feel great. I believe I look great. Is because I'm not going to do this forever. So let's say I do it 5 more years till I'm 80. Then what will be left for humanity, so to speak, are the fragments of my beliefs that are on YouTube and other platforms. There are thousands and thousands of hours of me online, and so follow them. Now, a couple of things I want to say to begin with. 98% of all people on the planet are introverts. 98% of you, maybe 100% of you kids are introverts, and only 2% are extroverts. Of that 2% that are extroverts, there's only about 10% that are alpha males. So that's 0.2% that are alpha males like myself. Most of the kids follow the icons like Elon Musk, Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, Warren Buffett. For some of you, although he's a lot older and you may not follow him, they all have one thing in common. They're all introverts. So for the icons of the last 50 years are all introverts. You don't have to be an alpha male extrovert to be a high performance person. There are a few. Steve Jobs was an extrovert, obviously high performance, myself, and a few others. But for the most part, it's easy to become a high performance person if that's all you're concerned about. Focus. Making a name for yourself leading to being known as Dan Peña, the $1 trillion man. Well, I didn't label myself the $1 trillion man, funny enough. The first one I believe to label me that was one of my mentees, Brian Rose, or as I refer to him, Brian QLA Rose, who came to me about 6 years ago, and I was interviewed on his TV program here in London called London Real TV, and I was almost an instant success. I, like many of my generation, had just overlooked the internet. I thought it was bullshit. I mean, I couldn't understand why anybody would waste their time watching idiots on. I didn't even know what YouTube was then. But from the first publishing of my interview on Easter of 2014, I believe, I was more or less an instant success. So though I was getting ready to close down my activities on my 70th birthday, which was a year on, I was reborn. And it's not too often somebody my age gets a second opportunity at helping others. Now, my goal in life is not to save the world. I hope your goal in your lives is to save the world. But I leave it to my mentees, which I have arguably a couple million of, to save the world. That's not really my dying wish or living wish, but I have produced many, many mentees that do want to save the world. In that vein, all my mentees, super successes that I have, meditate. I don't meditate. I've never meditated. It's not that I don't believe in meditation, but, as I said famously on the Brian Rose interview from 2014, when he was referring to Zen and meditation, I said, I've never seen anybody pay their bills with Zen. I've never seen them keep from going bankrupt with Zen. And although my kids, the kids I've trained and taught, believe highly in it, but I don't. I do say my prayers every night, and I've been doing that since I'm about probably 5 or 6 years old. Now, making a name for myself, Dan Peña, is just based on success. I've had a lot of success in life. I've had a few ups and downs, but for the most part, people would look back upon my life as a success. In that regard, we have a documentary coming out, not that we did, a third party in the next few weeks, from an organization called Life is Tough. They spent a couple of days here with us a few months ago, and I look forward to seeing that. There's other documentaries about me on YouTube, so you can see what life pattern I followed. And but you're only as good as your last prize fight. You're only as good as your last success. You can build your career over 5, 10, 15, 20, in my case, almost 50 years. And then one mistake, and you're not finished, but you have to start all over again. Now, the good news is in the United States, the people are very forgiving. Now they allow you a second and a third chance. Although the second chance that has been given me isn't a result of the public. It was a result of Brian Rose and then his following of millions. And so now, arguably, many of those same kids follow me. The $1 trillion man label comes from the fact that, roughly speaking, we estimate that I've created 1 million millionaires, and 1 million times 1 million, for those of you that aren't very good in your math calculations, is 1 trillion. Of course, we have kids from teenage multimillionaires flying around in the planes to the largest 17, 18-year-old, to the largest deal in recorded history, $500 billion, the NEOM, N-E-O-M, City of the Future, which is a joint venture between Jordan, Saudi Arabia, and Egypt, I believe. I'm the only guru, and I don't consider myself a guru, that talks in terms of dollars and equity created, not sales created. There's 4 or 5 other guys, and all good guys, and everybody has the right to earn a living or make a living. They talk about revenues created. Well, there's a hell of a lot of difference between creating $1 million in revenue and creating $1 million of equity, $1 million that you can sell to someone. And so, hence, someone came up with, Brian Rose, with the idea of the $1 trillion man. Now it's caught on. And now, as you can see behind me, it's part of my trademark, it's part of my label, and I feel very comfortable with it. And I'm looking forward, my next goal is the $2 trillion man. What am I doing now? I devote about more than half of my time to charity, pro bono work, like this talk. I talk at universities. Pre-corona, I talked to universities. The last university I talked at was the University of Pennsylvania. Of course, that's a school Elon Musk and Donald Trump went to. It was founded in 1743, I believe, by Benjamin Franklin. And I've talked at Oxford a few years ago. I've talked at the U.S. Naval Academy. I've talked at some very prestigious institutions of higher learning. But unless we go back to face, I'm not likely to do too many. I don't do talks like this, but I'm doing it because of the perseverance of you kids. But I'm still on many boards. I'm probably on chair of close to 20 companies where I can add value. And so that keeps me busy. I'm a few minutes late in taping this because I had 2 emergencies. One from a 22-year-old recent aerospace engineer graduate from University of Washington who bought a assisted living a few months ago, and he's got some challenges. And another kid who just graduated from Columbia University, who is about 27 or 28. He spent 5 years in the Navy, who is getting ready for his first board meeting, who is also in assisted living in the northeastern United States, as opposed to the young kid that I described first of all, who is in the southwestern United States. So I'm keeping very busy with that, and I'm continuing to develop what I call the Corona era seminars. They were getting ready to start in a couple hours. Corona era seminar number 4. I would advise or suggest that you watch it on YouTube. It's pretty fiery. I'm often asked by college students, university students, why I use 4-letter words, bad words, because they resonate. Now, it's a difference if I call you an idiot and I call you a fucking idiot. You're more except it's coming from me, but it's more likely you're going to remember they call me a fucking idiot. You know, why am I a fucking idiot? I don't suggest you use 4-letter words or bad words, but they are very effective. People will misconstrue or misunderstand when kids as young as you are use bad words, although I was swearing younger than you are. Being an inspiration for others and future generation. Well, nobody loves Dan Peña more than Dan Peña. You got to start by having admiration for yourself, and then others may, given the right leadership, have admiration for you. I am inspiring many people. Tell me, not just your age, but old enough to be your father. I'm the alpha male father they never had. Now, in my particular case, I had an alpha male dad who was like a superhero. I never wanted to disappoint him. Now kids tell their parents to fuck off, which I don't recommend. Now kids divorce their parents. I also don't recommend that. But your parents aren't fucking you up on purpose. I have met only one or two parents in my 75 years of life that didn't want better for their children. As lame and ill-equipped as your parents are, they're not trying to screw you up on purpose. They're doing what was done to them, and your grandparents did what was done to them. Most often your parents, if I were talking to them one-on-one, would say, you don't know what you don't know, Mr. Peña. So meaning they didn't really have the guidelines to raise high-performance kids. And the one that I hate, which is most often used, is we did the best we could, Mr. Peña. Well, the best they could obviously wasn't good enough. Now, I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt that you kids are on your way to being high performance. You go to a nice private school, but that doesn't mean anything. Our kids all went to the best prep schools in America. And if it wasn't for their mother and myself pounding on them to strive to be high achievers, they wouldn't. One of our children is disabled, but two of our three children turned out to be, they're millennials. Our daughter's 34 and our youngest son is 37, excuse me. And they are in the top 2 or 3% of other millennials. They work in corporate world right now. They're aspiring to leave the corporate world and go out and be entrepreneurs. I do not think much of the future generations. I call them snowflakes. They melt under pressure. I can't understand why somebody in high school would commit suicide just because he wasn't liked a bunch of times or because people said shitty things about me. That's beyond my comprehension. I don't understand that. But it's obvious because they had poor role models. The kids today think differently. When I was growing up, when I was your age and younger, my father said, it was an old proverb, sticks and stones will break your bones, but words can never hurt you. Well, now it's just the opposite. Now words do hurt you. And another thing my dad taught me and I live by, it's not what they say to you, it's how you interpret what they say to you. And I always believed the glass was half full, not half empty, no matter what they said about me. And I got in a lot of trouble. I had a big mouth growing up, and I paid the price. But discipline and focus, laser beam focus, are what got me to where I am today. Well, your first question, where did you start your business? You haven't done much homework. I didn't have a business to begin with. My first career was an Army career as an Army officer. The current business I have, I started coaching and mentoring after I left the company that I founded, when the shareholders threw me out in January 1992. How did you accomplish what you accomplished at the pace? Well, I accomplished all this at the pace I did because I'm not lazy, I'm laser beam focused, and I'm hungry, unlike you kids. What made you decide what you wanted to teach younger people about? I didn't decide that I wanted to teach younger people. The younger people approached me because I said a little earlier in this taping, I'm the alpha male father that they never had. I keep kids accountable. You wouldn't like me as your father. And it flowed over to kids because kids wanted leadership. It's not that the kids are bad, they just lack leadership. Who helped you the most when making your business? Myself. Nobody helped me the most. I had 3 mentors, which are all available on my website. How did you turn $800 into $450 million in the declining stock market? No, it wasn't a declining stock market. It was a declining oil market. I went in the oil business back 35 plus years ago. When oil was $41 a barrel, it went to $6 a barrel. And I built the majority of the wealth in the business through that declining market. Through perseverance, a lot of cold calls, a lot of meetings. Now it's easier to create that wealth because now people accept Corona Skype meetings, Corona Zoom calls. And back in my day when I was doing it, they didn't accept that. They wanted to do see you face to face. What was the biggest reason for your success? Me, my perseverance, my focus, and I never give up, no matter what. And if you listen to Elon and a few others, they never give up. They would rather be dead than lose. How did you start your business? Meaning, how can us, your audience? Look at my website. All the material is free on my website, but it's an idea. And I mentioned it a few minutes ago. Find something that will change a billion lives, and you'll change the world, and you'll get rich. Do you ever have any doubts? No, never have doubts. I always assume things are going to get done on time, and on budget, or under budget, or before a timeline. I have an overall never-ending belief in myself, and it's called self-esteem. It's called self-confidence. And most of you kids, unfortunately, have been raised where you have little or no self-confidence and little or no self-esteem. What was the biggest regret that you did and didn't take when starting your business? Had nothing to do with my business. I'm an Army officer, combat-trained Army officer who never saw combat. And that's one of my biggest regret. I was in a hurry, not because I shirked the responsibility, but I could have gone out of my way to make sure I went into combat, but I didn't think it was that important then. But the controversy and the toughness of being a combat veteran is the only thing that I regret not having been able to attain. In closing, I'm getting ready to go start the seminar. I want to say I'm appreciative of your interest in me, but don't shoot the messenger just because you don't like him. Not everybody. I'm not everybody's cup of tea. I understand that. But listen to the message, and unless you have a parent, unless you're blessed to have parents that are high performance, goal oriented, you're going to be stuck, and you're going to have to do it on your own. Even if you have parents that are high performance, success oriented individuals, you're still going to have to do most of it on your own. They can't hold your hand. And right now, here I can only speak for the UK. The kids are not adhering to the social distancing, the screwing around, the going to parties, etc. Although I was once a teenager and wanted to have fun, as my Yorkshire wife would say, this is a time you got to cool your jets. You got to cool your jets. Now, it's already obvious that the government in the U.S., through the leadership of President Trump, has decided that lives are less important than commerce. They would rather not have the country locked down because of the corona, and they don't want to lose business, because if the country goes into a depression, the country will suffer a hell of a lot more. And I realize it's tough for some of the families. They don't have food. There's no more government money coming. But the government money isn't there, or the government isn't there to support the masses. I know that sounds harsh and rough, but I don't believe it is. I've never seen that. And I've been privileged to be exposed and been in business with some of the great icons, some of the great billionaires. These were billionaires before the internet. This is bricks and mortar money. I'm not saying that the young billionaires like Mr. Zuckerberg have earned their money easily, but they have earned their money easily compared to the bricks and mortar guys. One last thing I would leave you with is, if you want to change the world, great. If you want to do that, find an idea that changes 1 billion lives. By definition, 2 things will happen. Number 1, you will change the world like Mr. Zuckerberg has through his Facebook following. And number 2, you'll get rich. And money's not everything, kids. But remember, it's the only thing that people keep track of. Goodbye, and to your quantum leap in life and business. Thank you very much.